gave you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues.
Beautiful man.
All right, my name is John. I am the host of a podcast called Pint Comics, but tonight I am guest hosting Navel Gazing, the Valley Independent podcast. We are here to talk about Sci-Fi at the Strand. But let's start off with a little word from our sponsors.
This podcast is sponsored by valleygivesback.org.
That's correct.
It shouldn't be a surprise that when you pass away, none of your assets go with you. Whether you have a will or not, your assets will be distributed. Sometimes not how you would like. Why not make a plan? Your plan can include your favorite relatives, friends, and maybe a nonprofit or two supporting causes that you care about. Ask a trusted advisor about plan giving options. Plan for a gift that keeps on giving. Learn more at valleygivesback.org.
Yeah, how you like that golden voice?
I love the voice.
Beautiful.
I love the fact that we're here to talk about He-Man and TMNT, and we started off with a very real and sobering look at our own deaths.
Listen, why you got a bad mouth by one sponsor I have? I got Marini on here. He's not he's sponsoring he's all over Facebook with the sponsored posts.
Yeah, it's never a bad
I'll
time
be
for
cutting
sound
this out.
advice. No, it's never bad. Never a bad time.
So Carlos, or I'm sorry, so Eugene, I'm here with you. You were the normal host of the Valley Indie, but you kind of brought me in because I might have a little bit more street cred when it comes to these fun little things. We've got your partner in crime, Brian Spears. Please, Brian, say the words I love to hear when you first come on a podcast every time.
Hello.
That's it. And we've got John Marini. John is the guy who is putting on the event and the events prior as well, called Sci-Fi at the Strand, that we'll be talking about tonight. John, how's it going?
Very good. Thank you guys for having me.
So on November 20th, which is from the time of recording a week from tonight, it's Saturday of next week, at 7 p.m., you've got a double feature going on at the Strand Theater in nearby Seymour, Connecticut. And it's two movies one from the 80s and one from the 90s, technically, really close together. But they both have something pretty, I guess, the baseline is very common. We've got toys, cartoons, comic books, all that good stuff. What movies are you going to be showing next week at the Strand?
Yeah, so I think we got two of the best 80s, 90s toy lines. The cinematic debut of both of those lines, Masters of the Universe from 1987 and the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990.
All right, so I want to go right off the bat to the two guys who are only talk about Columbo and No Country for Old Men.
Columbo.
I'm going to ask you. Well, you know what I mean. I'm going to talk. I'm sorry, I meant to say Serpico. I want to talk to Eugene and Brian.
Huge difference.
Eugene and Brian. Brian, have you ever at any point in your life watched a Masters of the Universe, the film, watched a cartoon, or played with one of the toys? Was there ever a point in your life?
I've watched the movie like 100 times. I've never owned or maybe played with toys. I was sort of kind of growing out of it. And I've never seen the cartoon. I'm sure I've seen the cartoon like coming home from school or something, but no, it was not a show I watched.
All right, Eugene. Now, before we went on, you mentioned
Hey, that was off the record. I meant to.
Oh no! You mentioned it, so I'm bringing it up. You mentioned that on a Christmas.
Spears just lied. I'll tell you that.
I never had He-Man action figures.
We're the same age. We grew up. We played in the same sandbox as kids, and I had plenty. The thing about He-Man, to me, my experience with it, I'm not going to call it Masters of the Universe, and I hope that doesn't get me in trouble with the naming convention or whatever. To me, it's He-Man, okay? It was right after Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian comes out, right? I'm the youngest of, I got four older brothers. Conan O'Brien, well, that too. Conan the Barbarian was a dare to sit through. It was ultra violent. You know, James Earl Jones turns into a snake, and it introduced the world to Arnold Schwarzenegger, at least the people living in my world. And to me, you know, He-Man was that. It was a license to be violent with your toys, right? Because He-Man had like an axe, and it was Conan the Barbarian, and that's what He-Man meant to me. So I had, you know, whatever that castle that John has in the background, John Marini has in the background. I had the original version of that. I had, you know, the thing with the microphone, the terrible microphone. I had Skeletor, Beastman. Beastman was the man, because to me he was like George the Animal Steel. So like. You know, He-Man was sort of a big deal. But then I just remember it was the same thing like G.I. Joe. You go from He-Man and G.I. Joe into those cartoons, and they were just, I mean, even as a kid, I was like, these are unwatchable.
See, I loved all that as a kid. John, you obviously, behind you, everybody can't see it, but you obviously, you're a fan. You have the Castle.
Oh, no, we're doing this on video as well. I probably should have mentioned that. Sorry.
Okay.
We'll do it both. We're doing it all.
So then people could see that John obviously is filled in a room filled with MOTU stuff. So was this something, this double feature, was this something that that was like an itch you particularly wanted to scratch? Like, oh, I've got to show this movie. I've got to show these movies because of a love for that stuff?
Yeah, you know, right after the Godzilla movies, and of course, you may remember we did a string of Godzilla double features. You know, I think right after Godzilla, Masters of the Universe was sort of the next biggest thing for me. And I grew up with some sort of variation of Skeletor, right, in my room at all times from maybe like 4 or 5 years old and on. So I definitely wanted to get to He-Man, and pairing it with Ninja Turtles seems like it makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's almost like a kind of a decade apart, but the same phenomenon.
Yep.
Like Masters of the Universe 82, Turtles toys and movies early 90s, but the comics, you know, mid 80s. But the comics were much more adult, much darker to begin with. But they were both, if you really think about it, these incredible phenomenons that like broke down each wall. The cartoons were hits. The toys were hits. The movies, Masters of the Universe, not so much. Turtles, the original one, was one of the highest grossing independent movies of all time.
I think it was the movie that surpassed it was The Blair Witch.
Yeah. We did an episode on Pint Comics about Turtles, and that was something that I don't even think I had known. I hadn't seen it in years, but that Blair Witch was the one that took over from that point.
Like whatever budget it was, that type of thing. It was in a similar, like, you know, low budget type range.
Yeah, both indie films, which is the interesting thing.
Indie film.
Both toy lines were earth-shattering toy lines, making huge money, and yet had difficulty getting to the into the movie theaters. Really had to have independent film companies take chances on those lines. And for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it really worked.
In 1988, I went to a horror convention, or I guess it was a horror convention back then. Fanicon in Albany, New York, and I met the guys that drew or created. Somewhere I have like them drawing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle for me. I had no idea what it was. I just like Eastman and Leia, so I met those guys, but that's my realm of Ninja Turtles too. Ninja Turtles, I was definitely too old for Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, well, I just remember what. So the Masters of the Universe came out in 87, right? I mean, you know, I guess we were kind of young then, but I remember.
I never saw that movie though.
I've never seen
for
it
years.
I've never seen either of these.
I'll
judge them.
I'll judge them.
I would watch Master of the Universe in the shop. Like while
I want to know.
working.
Did anybody ever do like a study of some kind that found a correlation between like the explosion of steroid use in the 80s and He-Man? Like, right? Because Brian, I remember the guys we went to high school with. You know, it was kind of a wealthier area. The parents would buy the memberships to the gym, and they were all on steroids. Half of them were hospitalized by the time we were 21. I blame He-Man.
I don't think it's He-Man's fault. It's probably Schwarzenegger's fault.
Although I do know tons of stuff, but I don't know if we'll bring it up on this thing about the making
directing.
of, like the making of the whole process of getting Masters of the Universe made was something of a whole. That's a whole movie and a whole podcast there. Also, it's explored on what was those Canon docs, Electric Boogaloo.
Yep.
It's a good. It's got a good run there, and I want to say the magazine Cinefantastique they did a full-time, like did a whole issue on Ninja Turtles, which I read because that was the Henson company created all the Ninja Turtles. And they had a full full magazine devoted to that. And I believe Masters of the Universe got quite a bit of press just because of its fantastical elements. Although both of those movies, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have cable. I think all you guys probably grew up on cable. I think those two movies also played because a lot of people I know are more like fanboyish to them because they were just on cable like when they were growing up. Like the specifically those movies.
Well, and they're also they're kind of opposed because Masters of the Universe was pretty much a flop and was running out of money by the end of them producing the movie, and Turtles was a runaway hit. John, what is the order? Because the night is called I Have the Turtle Power. I'm assuming is it Masters of the Universe going into Turtles?
Yeah, so we have some choices there, right? We're going to begin with Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
And
okay.
The idea there is that, a lot
Why
of...
are you guys acting like that's shocking? I don't understand.
Well, in terms of, I think you usually put the last movie of the night is usually the one that probably is going to draw the most, right? It's the closer. And the same thing that Larry
Definitely
does
the
with his
cheesier.
shows. And I'll say definitely, Larry's a big inspiration in his cult classics, right? I think
Who?
Sci-Fi at the Strand, which is sort of the house brand at the Strand, right? Because this is directly really sponsored by the Knights of Columbus. So what we do is it's a complete nonprofit. Everything that we make goes right back to charity in the Strand. But I will say we're sort of the Battletoads to cult classics Ninja Turtles, or maybe the Beastmaster to his Conan. Same idea though, right? Where we looked at, usually it's the show closer. But here,
Slow down there, Speed Racer.
here with
Although Beastmaster,
are you gonna
is
say
in the same vein.
Beastmaster superior to Conan?
no,
I would say
no,
Beastmaster
no.
superior to Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely superior to
seen it.
Masters.
You've never seen Masters of the Universe, Eugene.
No, man. I here, and here's
playing with the figures.
here's why.
Let her go.
I don't think so. No.
Dolph Lundgren is dead behind the eyes. I think the shark in Jaws gives a better performance. I'm talking the rubber one, Bruce, than Dolph Lundgren
The thing
has.
is, Eugene, it's a subtle performance. You really have to dig into it to understand. But it's really a good opportunity. We do have two sponsors for this show, the Archive and Vinegar Syndrome. And a while back, Vinegar Syndrome put out a really great edition of Beastmaster, and an awesome. They're known for their slip covers, but this one's really something. So just a shout out for Vinegar Syndrome, but they really did this movie justice. I don't know if they're ever going to tackle Masters of the Universe, but no, this a very good movie, Beastmaster. But usually you put, I think, the showstopper last, but here with these and Godzilla too, a lot of kids will go to these movies, and it really surprised me with the first Godzilla double feature. It seemed like 30% of the audience were kids. So I realized that the movie they're most interested in needs to come first. And my guess is they're probably going to be a little more familiar with Ninja Turtles, and we don't want to make them stay into the the end of the night, past the 9-10 o'clock to wait up for what they're looking for. The more cult
Poor
movie, I think
Dolph
we're gonna do
Lundgren.
last.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to
Dolph
expose
last.
kids to Dolph Lundgren after like 9 o'clock, particularly that performance.
Yeah, I did a movie with I did a
don't think
makeup
so.
I did a
No.
makeup on Frank Langella.
He loves that movie.
I
He
never
loves
brought
it.
up Masters of Universe.
Frank Langella loves Masters of the Universe. He champions it. He says that he did it for his kids, and that
Listen, we talked about the band the whole time. Let's just say he's very familiar with Woodstock, so he might not have been in his right mind when he made that interview.
okay, but he's done it more than once. He has never thrown that movie under the bus.
I just found out today that I thought that was Robert Loggia in Masters of the Universe in that horrible mask. I just found out today it's Frank Langella.
Frank Langella. There's a lot of people in it. The guy who plays Principal Strickland, whose name's evading me.
But they'd
Future.
all be at a Chiller convention 30 years ago. Like, that's what's so fun about that. I looked it up. They're all, all right. Courtney Cox, I guess, is a well-known person. But back then, it was the Dancing in the Dark video days. There's some dude that was on a Star Trek and My Mother's Soap Opera.
Tom Paris, the guy who played Tom Paris in Voyager.
Come on, man.
Yeah. He's the boyfriend, and the other one is
Well, Meg, what's her name?
Meg Foster with the blue eyes. She's
like, what
she's Evil Lynn.
Evil Lynn.
Did she
Evil Lynn.
Did she shoot this the same time as They Live? I mean, think about the. They
This
Live
was-
came out the same year.
No, 88. They Live was a year
88.
later. Yeah,
Oh, all right, guys. Sorry.
it's okay. It's all right. So that makes sense that you're putting Turtles first. But out of your personal fandom, John, what of the two films are you looking forward to seeing on the big screen more?
You know, I saw both of these when they did their initial run, right? So 87, I saw Masters of the Universe, and I saw Ninja Turtles. And I remember the line for that movie, the Ninja Turtles movie, was around the theater. And I have not seen either of them in a theater since. I've probably seen Masters of the Universe a couple more times. But probably Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
They're probably Masters of the Universe. In terms of, first time I've seen it in a theater since I was a kid. I think that'll be kind of neat to check out.
And from your fandom as a kid with Masters of the Universe, do you have a particular favorite figure? Was like, obviously we know Eugene was a Beastmaster guy, or I'm sorry, Beastman guy. Were you a Mossman guy? Were you a Stinkor guy? Who were you into?
So Skeletor was really big, right? And there's so many different variations of Skeletor. So we even pick some out, right? So
He is an attorney, guys. So
Battle
Skeletor.
armor, Skeletor.
Oh, look at
over
that.
here, right?
With the rolling barrel in his chest,
With the
right?
yep, it changes to show the battle damage. And then you got there was a 2000s version of Skeletor.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that
right?
was
So
the
he made
that
it a
was the
little more
update.
stylized.
Yep.
Little
Right.
Todd McFarland.
And not really well known, but there was actually Skeletor goes to the dentist.
What is that?
What? Wow.
Yeah, that looks like the guy
There's
from
actually a
Beauty
Is that
robot
Ash?
chicken crossover with Molar.
The attorney. Wow, I have never heard of this. Was this like a HasLab thing, or did you? Have
This
to
was
order-
one of the.
What are
when
they
did
doing in
the,
that box?
so
They're at
this
the
is-
dentist.
Dentist. He's a dentist taking Skeletor's tooth out, and if you take a look, Skeletor is missing a tooth over there. See.
That is disturbing.
That's crazy.
But
Molar.
it's not all about He-Man and Skeletor. So my kids have their favorites, right? And this is one of the originals. So this is the original Cobra Khan, one of the Snake
Okay.
Men, right?
He would shoot
And so
water
this
out.
this actually has an action feature. Yeah, and my kids are saying they want to demonstrate it, right? So the Cobra Khan, he's actually
Shoot your
got
dad
this-
with water.
Yeah, you fill him up with water, and you want or they want to demonstrate him with a toy, all right? So we got Manny Faces over here. So this is another original one, right?
Yep.
Oh,
His
wow.
his power was to change his face. So George, you want to come? You got to come in. All right, so you're gonna spray Manny Faces. Show him how it works. No, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's so nice.
Good job, George.
So I mean, all these toys had some gimmick, right? Whether it's spraying water, turning their head. Larry Dwyer always mentions Mechaneck, the guy with
Yes.
the long head, and here he is.
Now, are the ones you're pulling out that aren't the updated versions? Like like you said, you have the Super 7 Skull Mountain and our Snake Mountain, and you have, like you showed, the McFarlaneized version. The ones that you're pulling out now, are those from your original collection as a kid?
This is my original Cobra Khan from, who knows, 85, 86.
Wow.
The same thing with Manny Faces, 84, 85. So the problem was with these toys, they're not very durable. They would snap. Well, once they went to my kids, they became much less durable. And let's say I lost maybe 50% of my collection once George and Anthony got their hands on them. But the
Huge and
newer
I
ones
made
are
a,
much more robust.
Huge and I tried to make a zombie. I don't know, a Godzilla stop motion movie, and we wound up burning and lighting most of our figures on fire.
Can you please point out that was like an 11th grade though?
Well, I just
You're
said
making
yeah,
it sound like,
oh,
it's last week.
Well, I mean, come on, no, it wasn't. Well,
We had the
Yeah.
Godzilla that fired he did the tongue of fire, and he fired his hand, that really old one, which I saw at a horror convention, was for like $600 or something ridiculous.
I had that one. That was a part of the Shogun Warriors line.
You didn't
with
set
the
yours on fire?
No, I wish I
No.
had kept it. I wish I had kept all my toys.
I kept the baseball cards, which was, gypped.
I was a big GI Joe
Blame
fan.
Reaganomics.
I was a big GI Joe fan, and I'm one of the kids that was lucky enough to have the USS Flag, which was the 7.5 foot long aircraft carrier.
Oh wow! What were you rich? It was come from money.
No, absolutely not. I was more. It was more. I think my parents were. What's the word? Like kind of.
They wanted you to have a friend.
Yeah, you need a friend. Here's your 7.5 foot long aircraft carrier, but it was incredible. And those things go for thousands of dollars now if you can get them. Even used ones, they're hard to find.
What do you
Netflix
guys-
has that Toys That Made Us series, and I think they
Yeah.
did a spotlight on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing looking. It like fills up your room, right?
Oh,
That's like half a room worth.
I grew up in a small apartment complex, and my room, for like the whole year I had it set up, I had to walk around it in 3 spots to get in and out of my room, to get to my bed, to get to my closet, to get out of the room. It was totally impractical, but it was awesomely cool. Awesomely cool. So,
What
John,
do you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say,
interrupted.
while we're talking real quick, let's give everybody an update as to where they can go to get tickets for this thing, because that's what we want. We want people to check this out, to go and see this. And why don't we throw one out early? Where can people go, John, to get
Yeah,
their
so
tickets?
the easiest way is right on Facebook, Sci-Fi at the Strand. We have an Eventbrite link on the page. Also, you can go to Strand Theater, the main webpage. You'll see a link there. If you don't have the internet, you're probably not watching this right now.
No.
But if someone's told you about this,
I'll be
you can
shouting it
always
out
give
my
a
window
call
later.
To the Strand Theater itself, or even Guitar Fixer Bob, who doubles as a ticket salesman, a la the old Ticketmaster. He's like the Guitar Fixer Bob is like the Ticketmaster.
It's like a
The-
Simpsons. I'm in a Simpsons episode.
Is
But
that
if you-
is that the guitar place right next to the Strand?
It is.
And he sells tickets there? I didn't even know
Right.
that.
And he will also sell tickets. Exactly. And
The Valley
first
Indy has an
100
office there. I'll be selling edibles for people who want to go in and watch Masters of the Universe, so it makes sense. No problem.
The first 100 tickets sold, those purchasers will also be leaving with a free event poster designed by Chris Butler of Chris Butler Designs, who does a lot of awesome horror, monster movie, sci-fi posters. And
That looks
this is
awesome.
thanks to both Chris Butler and also our friends from Weird Wonderland,
Oh,
who
okay,
helped
yep.
put this together.
Very
So we're going to
cool.
be giving this out to the first free to the first 100 ticket purchasers. And when you buy your tickets, your name is on the list. So when you check in, you'll be given your poster. And in addition to that, we will also be having a raffle. We have, and the entry in the raffle is completely free. With your ticket, you'll be entered. And at the halfway point between the two shows, we'll be giving away prizes like my kids are supposed to hand me the prizes, but now they're going on to something else.
They're gonna start throwing stuff at him
The
in a
current
second.
versions of Skeletor and He-Man, which are actually
Oh,
really
wow.
close to the original ones,
Look at that.
right? And
Definitely juicing.
I'm bringing probably one of the
Whoa.
grand prizes.
Oh, Battle Cat.
A Battle Armor, He-Man, and Battle Cat set. Although Battle Cat is not in the movie. That was a big disappointment to anybody who was a kid.
He got
including
cut.
myself that was watching that.
Why are there 2 heads for He-Man there?
He's
And
grimacing
a lot
on
of
one.
the new figures come with interchangeable heads.
That's creepy.
And
So-
and I think one of the most important things is, as you talked before about Larry's shows, is this is all for like a very cheap price, correct? The tickets are what?
Yeah, $12, I think, plus the shipping for
12
2 movies, a raffle. First 100 get the free poster. And of course, we also do trailers, which we'll try to theme around the movie night. So maybe other, cartoon movies, cartoon lines that got their own movies, like the G.I. Joe movie, which was actually a pretty dark cartoon movie.
Yeah, Transformers was as well.
And
Absolutely.
Transformers, and that's a big one. My kids.
Hey, have they
especially
ever
love,
made-
love original Transformers movie?
Have they ever made a good toy cartoon movie?
Uh,
Because I mean, not the ones that you guys listed, but I mean,
well,
you know.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't dislike Masters of the Universe, the film. I think it's different, but you know what? First of all, as a comic book fan,
This is why I got John to host this. I was like,
Listen,
all right,
yeah.
who
Listen,
shares
I'm being real-
John
I'm being
Marini's love
really-
of bad cinema?
listen, okay.
A mentor.
First of
Fan
all,
of comics.
the director Gary Goddard went out of his way to try to get Jack Kirby. Now, I know that name doesn't mean it.
It's went out of his way to do a few other things. Let's
Yeah,
not
right,
bring
he's
that
like-
up.
Let's talk. Let's keep this on the up and up.
Noted pervert
He
Yeah.
went to. Let's
Later.
keep this on the up and up.
later.
Ask Anthony Edwards.
He went out of his way to try to get Jack Kirby to do the designs for the
You
characters.
got
in this
William
film.
Stout.
You know
You
who
got
Jack
William
Kirby
Stout
is?
as William Stout, the production designer from Return of the Living Dead, also worked on this.
Right.
He was a big production designer on this.
Jack Kirby did not end up doing anything, but he did some preliminary designs that they kind of based some of the stuff on. Some of the bad guys have like these like floating like sky like sleds, and those are kind of based on a lot of Jack Kirby Fourth World stuff. There's some actual interesting things going on in this movie. I watched it a few years ago, and we've actually talked about doing an episode of Pint Comics, one of our trash episodes, because it is considered trash. I'll be honest, I don't think this is a trash movie. I think there's a lot going on there, and I think the story behind the movie alone, as you alluded to, Brian, is amazing.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's fascinating how this. I mean, they literally wanted. They just ran out of money, or you would have Dolph would have been dubbed because he could barely speak English. Like contractually, they had to give him 3 attempts to do his dubbing.
It is a fascinating. It's a fascinating performance to watch because it doesn't. It seems like he's just saying things to say them. Like he doesn't. It's not like he's acting. He's like, oh, I have to say a few American words now.
And this is very early in his career too. It's very early.
Oh yeah, really early.
Because he went on to such heights.
Not to such heights, but he's still around 30 years later, and this is right after Rocky IV.
Oh
So
God,
I mean,
can you believe Rocky IV sold out movie theaters this weekend? What's happening?
You know, they cut the robot out of it entirely. Apparently, is what I heard.
Oh, really?
They cut the robot out.
It was never a good movie. Who's asking? All right, here's my question.
It was always a good robot, though.
Yeah, it was. Happy
Robot,
birthday,
you
Paul.
know.
That's sad.
I'm waiting for the Paulie. I just want one. Paulie's origin story. Give me the whole Paulie HBO prestige series, all about Paulie.
Of course you do.
So
Of
he's
course
the most
you do.
compelling character in there. Who's better in Rocky III than Paulie? But like what? There is this. I mean, this is probably both these movies are probably a hoot to see in a theater, right? Especially in 2021. You love them or hate them, they're fun to watch with a group of people, I assume. But like, what is going on? What is this whole nostalgia for movies you could argue that were probably better off being left in the dustbin of history? Like Vinegar Syndrome just releases and gussies up and makes a big deal, and people get excited about these terrible movies being released. Like, where did that come from? Like, what's the motivation there?
The motivation is that they're finding, whether you think it's a terrible movie or not, and whether it is a terrible movie, there's always somebody out there that loves it. So they're reproducing these things probably in smaller numbers than you would find in like a Best Buy or somewhere, and they're getting the people. Like John pulled out Beastmaster, right? Beastmaster to many people is a garbage movie, but to many people, Beastmaster is the very
greatest John Amos movie.
Well, they watched it on HBO and they held it tight to their bosom.
I think
But that doesn't make it a good movie.
I think there's a lot of. I think it has to do with, again, I didn't have cable, so that's why I had to like rent, Dog Day Afternoon. I had to watch Serpico. Like it wasn't on TV where like, so I never saw either one of these guys in their theatrical runs, and these weren't movies that like played in my childhood until I didn't see these movies until I was, dare I say, in my 20s.
So it's like what we're saying is literally cable, the advent of cable. We were like in the Matrix. They just shoved that into our heads, and now we have this collective love of all movies that would probably be forgotten otherwise if we didn't see them in our childhood.
There is a commercial on, and it's something.
Look angry right now.
There's a commercial on right now, and it's where people they're trying to figure out what to watch on TV, and they're scrolling through, and they're saying stuff. At the very last thing, they go, "Oh, Saved by the Bell," and they put on Saved by the Bell. This is a dude like my age on a couch with his wife, and they're like, "Saved by the Bell." I wanted to shoot myself just after that commercial.
You're not everybody's you. Not everybody is. I only watch, Robert De Niro in 1972 to 1976 performances.
Not everybody has discerning taste. You're saying.
Yeah, I know. This country, this America would be way better if people were like me.
What are we running from? I think that's the question.
It's so funny.
What are we all collectively running from?
It's so. The last hour, I tried to find something to watch, and I kept Robert De Niro as some angry grandpa kept coming up. And I was like, yeah, I can't watch this. I can't watch,
That's actually not that bad.
All right. Well, I'm not sitting alone in the dark watching that.
I want to go back to John for a second, and I want to kind of shift gears because we talked about Masters of the Universe quite a bit, but I want to switch it over to Turtles. Now, your age, whatever your age is, you saw Turtles in the theaters, you said, but was your
He's
fandom
52.
52? Sure. It was your fandom for Turtles anywhere near what your fandom for MOTU was?
Yeah. So I was born in 1980, right? So by the time Ninja Turtles came out, was sort of at the end, I think,
Right.
of that. But the cartoon was everywhere. So when I was like 10, 11, I remember the cartoon being out. The toys were everywhere. No, I don't think it matches from, myself. I don't think it matches, getting those toys when I was a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old. But it was, when the Turtles were popular, again, being in, 5th, 6th grade, right? You saw it everywhere. So there's that familiarity with it. And it's kind of neat to see it's still popular, or at least I think, guys, is it still popular? So
They ruined it with the new cartoon.
so my children who just turned 12, they tell me that it was ruined with the newest cartoon.
Where was the newest cartoon?
What was the newest cartoon?
It was
A Nickelodeon version of the cartoon, right?
Is it like a compute?
Oh, okay.
There was animated one, and then maybe in like 2017 they switched it and made a whole different story.
So they said there was a
for
computer
seven
animated
and-
version.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
Is
so
that the
good,
one they
but-
don't
And they
like?
switched it to a cartoon.
That's the one they don't like.
No,
It was
no.
kind of
Yeah.
dark though, right?
Oh,
Wasn't it
yeah,
kinda
they
dark?
like that
And
version
then in like
and not the
and
other
then
one.
they switched it to an animated one and stopped doing the other one, and then
Hmm.
it died out.
And then it died out.
Yeah, Turtles. I mean, Masters of the Universe has had a resurgence in the last couple of years because the Kevin Smith show on Netflix, and the
Oh, yeah,
toys
talk
right
about
now. The toys right now are a big thing again. You can't go into a Target or Walmart without seeing like some of the toys John just showed before.
And there was a
and-
doc. Wasn't there a doc on the making of
There was a
He-Man.
documentary on the making of He-Man on Netflix a couple years ago, and as John mentioned, the Toys That Made Us
Yeah.
episode about Masters of the Universe is fantastic. So that's kind of like resurging right now, but Turtles in one way, shape, or form has never really gone away. It might not be the same, but you had the 3 original live action movies. You had the CGI movie, which actually I recommend that one if you've never seen it. That was like around 2006. You had the 2 garbagey Michael Bay ones they did a couple years ago. You've had multiple cartoons like your kids just mentioned. The comic is still going strong for.
They also had the
Image Comics.
Nintendo game.
Oh,
Right, you
okay.
had the Nintendo game and the arcade versions of that, and that I will say I played quite a bit. The original NES Ninja Turtles the arcade game.
Oh, the 4-player one. Yeah.
Yep, and you
Yep.
couldn't visit a bowling alley or a roller skating rink and not see that 4-player Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game.
That's right.
And those were, to this day, actually, when we pull out the old Nintendo, we'll pull out that game. It lives on at least through that.
All right, so there's some fandom there, so I'm not going to bother with the grumpy old men there, but I'll ask you, John, and your kids are there, so I want to know each of your kids' answer. Favorite turtle?
All right, George, you can.
Corey Feldman?
And Corey Feldman was Donatello, right?
He
So who's
was.
your favorite?
Raphael.
My favorite,
Raphael.
my favorite as well. Good choice. Good choice.
Why Raphael?
Raphael's like, well, yeah, have him come on. My opinion, he's like the tough guy. He's the loner.
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, he's cool but rude, right? And Anthony,
You love
what's your favorite
what?
Ninja Turtle?
The orange one?
Serpico.
Michelangelo. Okay, we got a Michelangelo and Raphael.
Party animal.
The
Yeah.
party dude. Yeah.
My nephew loves the Turtles. He like watches all this stuff. And like the new ones, they're like one of the guys does gadgets and builds stuff.
Well, that's Donatello.
Donatello.
He always
Okay.
has.
That's
I
like
mean,
Gruber.
Somebody
What's
rides a skateboard.
Michelangelo. Yeah. I think they all do to an extent. And it depends on the turtles are very, they cover a wide gamut. If you looked at the turtles from the 80s that Laird and Eastman drew, it was a knockoff of Daredevil.
Or Daredevil, yeah, because Stick is whatever his
Splinter.
name is. Stick,
Yeah,
Splinter.
Splinter
Yeah.
and Stick. Daredevil fights the hand. The bad guys and turtles are the foot. And it was also a dark, like a ninja story. At the end of the first issue of the original run of Ninja Turtles, they kill the Shredder. It ends there, and then they go along with the story. But like then it became much more kid friendly, and you got the Archie line of comics, and you got the cartoons, and it became more like we're these pizza eating, these pizza eating guys with different colored masks and everything. So I think that they did a really good job, whoever, not just Eastman and Laird, but marketing and everybody, of making this something that like can reach a lot of people. And I think that's part of the reason why it's lasted so long. I think He-Man has a harder time because it's very much kind of its time. But I do want to ask you guys, and Eugene, you brought it up. Did you actually watch the Kevin Smith show? And if so, were you as mad as like so many people were about the fact that it was like very, very little He-Man in it?
I did not watch the show, but I did watch hours and hours of people on YouTube reacting to the show. And they'd play clips, and I loved it. I mean, the people got so angry, and I sort of get it. I mean, spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't seen it. It's a He-Man show. I thought the coming attractions for it looked good. I was like, wow, they're going to like make a serious He-Man. I thought it was going to be like, Conan from the Arnold Schwarzenegger days. But instead they think He-Man's dead within the first 5 minutes, and it's like He-Man's female cousin or something like that. It was, I guess the messages of the movie were not subtle in any way. It sort of hits you over the head. And I just love how angry it made the internet. So 10 out of 10 for me.
John, did you watch it, and were you someone that was either, did you go along with the new direction, or were you let down by because the idea is He-Man does die in the first episode, and then it kind of it focuses on Teela and her like realization of the fact that she never knew Prince Adam was He-Man, and it focuses on that for I think 8 episodes, and then there's 8 more episodes coming.
Yep.
And I think a lot of these fans were mad because He-Man died. If you don't know He-Man's coming back in the next 8 episodes, let me have Tommy over here hit you in the head with a tack hammer. But were you mad about it, or were you like, I enjoy this?
I don't understand. I didn't understand really what the anger was. I thought it was done pretty well, and asked that interesting question. What does it look? What does the show look like without He-Man? And what would happen from that point? So it was interesting, right? And I thought that it was pretty logically building to that second half, when obviously he's going to return, and it's going to go from there. If anything, the only thing my criticism was that Skeletor sounded a lot like the Joker. Mark Hamill, of course, voices him, and I thought he went a little too far in sort of impersonating himself doing the Joker.
I totally agree.
I thought it was really kind of cool to see a different take on the series, and kind of excited for the next path.
And kind of like we just talked about with the Turtles and the different variations. I didn't watch it. I watched that one, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm not a Kevin Smith man, but I thought it was pretty good. But like a month later, didn't another He-Man cartoon drop on Netflix that's like totally unrelated, I believe?
There's a one for little kids. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
is that what it is?
Targeted for much younger kids that we haven't seen yet, but it looks like it's a real, like almost like a preschool, early elementary target audience for that.
All right. We never did actually answer Brian's question, so I do want to ask you that, John. Has there ever been, excluding your feelings on Masters of the Universe and TMNT, the movies, has there ever been a toy line to movie adaptation that you think was actually, whether it was done correctly or not, done well?
I mean, I think the Transformers movie, right? We're big fans of that here. In fact, they just re-released it a couple weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks ago. They had like a two-day re-release of the original Transformers movie.
Right, Fathom Events or something.
Yeah, I think that one, I guess you can look back and see it as dated, but I think that's a good effort. It's a fun movie, especially with the blazing heavy metal and
you got the touch, yeah,
lasers and it's a good one. But yeah, I guess it depends on what your definition of good is, right? I think a lot of these older movies, they're still popular because they're not cookie cutter. These days they can do anything with special effects, but things tend to be a little formulaic, tend to look a bit the same. And I think any of these old movies, whether it be these popular ones or Vinegar Syndrome, right? What they put out, it's because they stand out. They really, maybe budgetary constraints are the reason. They have to get creative. But whatever it is, whatever route they take to get there, you end up with something unique and something that's really difficult to replicate even today.
Eugene, is there any chance that I can invite you and Brian back on, and John too, on the Pint of Comics, to do an episode on Masters of the Universe, the movie, to make you watch it and talk about it? Because I feel like now it's my job now to get you to see this thing, and actually base an opinion on the movie and not just on your thoughts on it.
Yeah, sure. You
'Cause
can, send me a couple of bucks. I'll
No,
do it
no,
for
I
20
did-
bucks. Huh?
We did Way of the Gun. We did
Oh.
your movie. So I still think you owe me for, what was it, Arizona, which you guys talked about in your show, which I love your show, by the way.
Arkansas.
You know, you made me blind buy a DVD based on how much you loved it, and I'm out like $11 for the rest of my life. So I think you guys should come on.
You're the only one I know. Like, I just recommended that to 2 other people. Got messages back how great that movie is.
I was listening to the soundtrack the other day. What's that band that does all the country?
The Flaming Lips.
Flaming
Oh
Lips.
my God, they're so good. Yeah, Country Boy Will Survive, In the Arms of Cocaine. Their versions of it. And I watched Old Henry, by the way. But I guess Brian, that'll be for our next. John Amenta will not like it.
Probably not. No.
Yeah,
it doesn't have Skeletor in it.
There's no Robert Loggia.
but it has people that were in Marvel movies.
I don't care about Marvel movies. You guys are killing me with that. So, John, I do have another question. We talked about your collecting habits, and obviously, I want to focus this on Masters because you have some stuff there. Are you the guy like me that, like, okay, so like right here, I got the Coronation Starscream. I go out and I buy some of the figures that like I want, but I don't buy like the whole line. But you showed before, like you've got some of the Super 7 stuff.
American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes. Does he have the birthmark on his stomach too, or no? Did they put it there?
That's right. It's
Yeah.
right there.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
So, John, do you go out and
having a heart attack.
you buy the whole lines of these things, or do you just go out and go, you know, I've got to have battle damaged He-Man, or you know, I've got to draw a line somewhere. Or you guy goes and just goes, I go out and get all this stuff.
You know, despite best intentions, it's difficult to get the whole line, right? Especially something like what they do with Masters of the Universe. You know, they did the classics line, right? Which was the line. So Mattel, maybe back in 2008, 2009, they started doing this Masters of the Universe classics, and they went crazy. So it was like every month, and you could join like a He-Man of the Month club with them, right? It wasn't really called that, but you know, they do that. They're like a yearly subscription where every month, like you're getting 4 toys, plus there's 2 additional ones. And we subscribed for a while. The kids were born in 2009. So they have a lot of those toys that we saved for them. But it became so crazy, right? They would do, you know, an original version, you know, the way the original He-Man concepts were, they would do versions of that. He-Man was, or there was a rumor that He-Man originally was packaged with Wonder Bread, or there was a
Wonder Bread He-Man, yeah.
So they made Wondar, who's the Wonder Bread He-Man, and it just kind of, you know, the dentist Skeletor. It just got so crazy. It's impossible to keep up. So the intentions may be there, but I think it ends up being, you know, you get the ones that you really want to have, and then, you know, see what happens from there.
Is there like a Golden Grail figure from your childhood that maybe either you never got or maybe got destroyed? Is there something that, like, if it was affordable to what you felt was affordable from your childhood, that you would go, I've got to have that again? Like, I've got to find that one.
Yeah, for He-Man, I think 2 things. I never had Snake Mountain. So, you know, the Super 7 Snake Mountain, right, kind of helps with that. And there was another thing as well that they didn't make in the classics line, but they came out with it for the newest line, the Origins line, which is the land shark.
Oh, when you roll that, does the mouth open when you roll it?
So you roll it around and, yep, chomps.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Chomps, right? So right now, this is pretty easy to find. I think it's sitting in Ansonia Target right now. Multiple boxes of this guy. But for a while, this was difficult to find. And like, this was the thing that just kind of escaped me, you know, back when I was 5.
Eugene's trying not to laugh at you, John, but it's
Eugene. So Eugene, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, you know, you're
Great
the biggest
movie,
fan of
yes.
that. What Masters of the Universe figure appears, albeit you know, in the background of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in the radio station?
Huh. Is it the guy with the head? Battle Ram guy? Is that even a character? I don't know. I can't name these.
That's Ram Man.
Ramrod?
I lost my original version of him, but Moss Man is there. You can see him through the glass panel.
And
did the radio broadcast? I think you can see him from behind, and I think from the front at one point or another. But
did the original Moss Man smell?
Yes, if the new Moss Man actually has a little odor as well, like
Yeah.
a car freshener.
Take them out of your mouth, guys.
Is this the first thing you're doing after you get a toy from the Ansonia Target?
Well, John, I mean,
Sniffing it?
here's a little trivia for your for the viewers that are going to show up on the 20th at the Strand for Sci-Fi at the Strand for Turtles, which would be the first movie. And I don't know, because I recently watched it I saw it in the theaters 30 years ago. I had not seen it again, and about January of this year we watched it again
Is
for
it
the
the
show.
Sam Rockwell cameo?
That's what I was gonna say. The Sam Rockwell. There's a bunch of like the Foot Clan.
You just ruined his trivia. He said it was going to be trivia.
He did.
He was going to ask it as a question,
I
Brian.
was.
He just blurted it out.
You just blurted it out. But that's okay.
I thought it was going to be some dorky thing. Like,
No,
and then
no.
it wasn't going to be like that. There was an incredible actor in this movie.
Yeah,
I can
Sam
mute, oh, wait, I can mute you.
17-year-old or 18-year-old Sam Rockwell has a cameo at the end of the movie. That's okay. That's all right. John, did you know that, John?
I don't think I did. I didn't.
At the very end, when they kind of come in and arrest everybody, he's like the lead kid for the Foot Clan, and it's funny because you could totally tell it's him. I mean, he's much younger, but he's still Sam Rockwell. He still has the look and everything. So keep an eye out for that next week, the 20th, coming up this
Saturday
week,
night.
Saturday night.
I also didn't know that Splinter, I guess, is voiced by Kevin Clash, who's the voice of Elmo.
Yep. And actually, another trivia piece we kind of came across while doing the episode, and I want to say the episode is funny because as much as Eugene makes fun of it, my co-host on the show, Lloyd, is a couple years older than me, a couple years older than all of us, and so he is way past like this being a thing for him. We've done 200 and some odd episodes of the show. He's been on probably half of those, we've done a lot of movies. This one pissed him off to no extent. He just could not fathom the turtle movie, like at all. Like it just, everything about it annoyed him. He absolutely hated it. But what I wanted to bring up was the fact that Jim Henson, when the final product came in, and I don't want to spoil the ending for anybody that might be going to the theater and not seeing it, but there's something that happens that's kind of really violent at the end of the movie, and Jim Henson was super pissed off and threatened to take his name off of the movie in totality. And his people created the suits and the animatronics and everything. And he got so mad. And this was actually the last movie that had accredited Jim Henson or a credit to Jim Henson for his work before he died. He died a month after this movie came out. But so I don't want to ruin it, but
It was that bad.
it's what happens to the Shredder at the end of the movie. It's a kid's movie kind of, and it goes a little bit farther than what you would think they would go in a kid's movie. And he literally told them that he was gonna pull all of his stuff off of this thing, which, you know, at the time he had some pretty big juice that might not have helped it. Obviously it didn't matter because he kept it on and the movie went on to make $18 trillion. So
It's definitely better than the Michael Bay one.
oh, the Michael Bay ones are the first Michael Bay one I thought was like watchable garbage, and then
Is
the
that
second
where-
one was unwatchable garbage.
I watched that. I watched that one. That's the one where Megan Fox plays a reporter.
Yeah, she's April O'Neil. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the second one, they get the guy who played Arrow, Stephen Amell. He plays Casey Jones, and yeah, it's just not good.
All right. Maybe we should call it a night.
You're the host, man.
Take us out.
All right, John. Thank you so much for talking Turtles,
Thank you
Masters
for
of the Universe.
Thank you for having me.
But once again, the most important part is an impassioned plea. Everybody out there, if you've never been to any of these shows, including Larry's, they're awesome. They're a fun night, super cheap. John said $12 will get you 2 movies. That ain't gonna get you 1 movie anywhere else. A raffle. First 100 people are gonna get, John, show that poster again. You're gonna get one of these if you're one of the first 100 people. The Strand is an awesome one screen theater from way back in the day. What, 40s maybe? Is it that from the 40s?
And popcorn prices from way back in the day.
The popcorn prices are from way back in the day.
You're not going to
The,
pay $20 for popcorn. You're going to
Nope.
pay your $4 or $5.
Get yourself a Snapple, get yourself a bottle of Coke. It's an awesome night. And like I said, John has done the Godzilla nights. He's doing the Sci-Fi at the Strand now. You're going to start off with Turtles, 1990, move into Masters of the Universe, 1987. And what's the where are the sites again where anybody that sees this can go and get their tickets right now?
Facebook, the Strand Theater, or Sci-Fi at the Strand. Or, of course, you can give a call to the Strand Theater or even Guitar Fixer Bob.
Guitar Fixer Bob. And don't forget the raffles. One more time. You want to pull some of the raffle gifts out there? This is good stuff right here.
Yep, we
This is
got
some good
He-Man gifts. We also have some Ninja Turtle stuff, too.
Oh, look at that. Oh, Super 7. I love Super 7 stuff,
Got
man.
Shredder over
Reaction.
Yo, what is Super 7?
Super 7 is an incredible toy line that does 5 point of articulation 3 3/4 figures based on I've got 150 of them. Escape
All
from
right,
New
so
York,
it's a
Alien.
toy line. It's a toy line.
It's a toy line, yeah.
That's all need to be said.
Yep. Sorry, I nerded
I
out
mean,
there.
it's fine. I mean, it's 18 points of articulation.
Right here. Look, okay, look right here. Hold on, I want to show you. This is
Listen. I did spend the afternoon looking at.
This is Kane from Alien with the face hugger.
Miko figures or Meko figures. How do you say those?
Oh, Neko. Or
Neko?
NECA.
Yeah.
NECA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at a bunch of like horror movie. Like I was looking at McCready, but it's like $58.
Here, you never saw this before. You want a Newt from Aliens figure? Right there.
I was
Super
looking.
7.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the articulation matters. Like, back in 1985, right? Here's my 1985 Imperial Godzilla. 5 points of articulation. You can't do too much.
Yep.
I've got a
But
Bose remote
seriously, at
control.
our age, aren't you just putting them on a shelf, guys? Come on, like
Well, look
if
at
you're playing-
obviously.
if
I'm
you're
looking at it.
playing with them, that's just weird.
I'm an in the box
I'll give you.
guy. I'm an in the box guy. Look at that. That's got a shell protector. This goes on my wall. It's just not up yet. That's all.
Hey, Spears is a liar. When my son was born, he got me this toy because my
For
son is
your
named
son?
Jack.
Oh,
and Jack Driscoll was in the original.
yeah.
I
And
got
um,
a room filled with toys. I'm not saying there's
I
anything
broke it.
wrong with them.
This
I'm
is him
just saying.
upside down. Can your toys do this? I have them fight Dusty Rhodes every night.
I bet you do. That's creepy. That's creepy,
All
Eugene.
right.
All right. So you want me to pull this out? This has been the Navel Gazing, the Valley Independent podcast.
Valley Independent Sentinel or Valley Indie.
Valley Indie. I'm sorry. Pardon me. I'm John, and the more important part is you check out my show, Pint of Comics. You can find us on Facebook, Pint O Comics, at Twitter at Pint of Comics, Instagram, Pint_O_comics. Eugene, thanks for letting me do this. It's been fun. And John, thank you for being on. And everybody out there, go immediately get your tickets. And this Saturday night, the 20th, 7 p.m., go check out 2 very cool movies.
Thank you.
I have the power. Isn't that a He-Man thing?